Here we go, everybody. Welcome to EO San Diego's podcast. We do a founders podcast once a month talking about different things that are going on with each founder. Today, what we have is we have Henish coming in from Cal Home Co., which is always great. And it's funny, I talk to you all the time, and you're probably one of my favorite people, but I never really got into the business, the business end of your business.
Yeah.
We talk personal all the time, which is one of the great things I love about EO.
For sure.
You get into the personal. If you start thinking about the different things that are important to being a part of EO, it's about the three legs, right? It's personal, it's family, and it's business.
And with us, sometimes it's sports.
It's and sometimes it is sports, which gets personal sometimes the way you
For sure.
the way that you play, and so it's good. But I'm glad you're able to join us today to talk to us about about your story. That's the whole point of doing this. And Jason is incredible at wrapping in the entire story and how it all wraps together. But I appreciate you coming in and talking to us today.
Excited to do this. Let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun. Absolutely. So let's kind of talk about how did you find the passion for construction? Where did that start?
I mean, it stems from my passion from real estate.
Okay.
I liked houses. I like sales. I like the concept behind it. My career started off in the mortgage world and writing loans, underwriting loans, selling loans. But I like being in the field more. I like properties and I like people, probably in the opposite order, people first and then properties next. But I didn't want to be stuck behind a desk.
Right.
So real estate was the career that made sense after leaving the corporate world for being in that for almost 11 or so years. Started my own company in 2014. Primarily to flip properties, and then that grew into also selling and listing properties. And as I was flipping properties, I found that it was hard to get reliable construction work for my own properties. So that's what started it off. It was the solve the problem, which is, I think I could do this better, which came to not how, but who. So I was able to find someone that could manage my properties better on the construction side. And that rolled into a separate construction company that we incorporated as an S Corp in 2018.
Okay.
And so that's what it rolled into after having been self-employed 4 years on my own properties. So the last 7 years has been spent, keeping the real estate alive and the flips alive, but then growing the construction company as well, which has done great in the last 7 years. In the last year or two, is where I'm really seeing the fruit of the efforts now. Yeah. Because it takes some time to get in place and work and profitable. And now the systems are in place where it's working. And a lot of EO has helped with that as well.
One of the things I always love to talk about, right, in EO is we like to celebrate the victories and also kind of be there for you in the low parts. Yep. And I remember high-fiving you because last month you closed your biggest deal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the hits keep coming, which has been useful. And honestly, learning from EO members, especially services like EOS, Entrepreneurship Operating System, which we're using with an implementer from EO as well, has been hugely beneficial. Yeah, kind of had a business that was stagnant at around $5 million a year, and now this year we're going to crack probably 11 or 12. And so, and it came down to just all of the things that EOS teaches you, the things that we learn in EO, which is how to run a better business. And that's been useful because with me and my partner that run the construction company, we never ran any other business before. And so we never knew what it takes, right? And so at least we're humble enough to realize, hey, I don't have all the answers. Let's bring someone in that can help us actually run a business that has experience running a business. And fortunately at EO San Diego, we've got a lot of people like that can be a great shoulder to lean on and get advice, but then also actually put your boots on the ground and get to work with us. And obviously there's fees associated with that, but easy to pay for when the ends justify the means.
Sounds like you have like 4 different businesses though, right? Sales, construction, development, and then is that it? Sales?
Yeah, I mean,
which one do you spend the most time in?
Mostly just on real estate, so it's helping my clients with their real estate needs, but then along the way, deals fall into my lap. So I'm not like hunting out the development deals. Like, we just finished an 8 unit that we're building, but that came from an agent on my team as he was doing his own flip. We're about to finish plans on a 33 unit as a developer, but that also came from another agent on my team that presented it to me as a flip. But along the way, I'm spending most of my effort with the clients and also getting the flips in the deal because I just want to see the real estate, right? So it's between the people and the properties. But yeah, I'm trying to limit how much effort I'm spending into the development because it's a long game. And so I've got it going on in the background as kind of a passive type thing where I'm involved in them, but I know that they've got 3 to 5 to 6 year horizons. Along the way, I need to make income, and that's where the real estate's helpful for the flips or the sales because those are 1 month or 3 month or 6 month projects, and the end is in sight sooner than these development projects drag on, and it's all market dependent and
It's a long time.
contingent on the rates that are available, and it's brutal. It can be tough.
Payroll.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So yeah, and then with the construction company, because we've done EOS for the last year and a half, I don't have to spend too many hours on it. And now I've got my partner who's the integrator, the operator, that manages our project managers. And we've got 5 of them, and we're doing 17 projects at a time right now.
His fourth job is a EOS implementer and sales guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm going to sell the EOS implementer for sure because it's been super helpful.
Yeah, exactly.
And my goal is to now roll that into my real estate business too. Is just do that because now I'm seeing that as the visionary, you don't have to spend 40 hours a week on the visionary role. And so the construction company is working great. Got a huge amount of business coming in. We're knocking down over 80% of the proposals we deliver.
Fantastic.
Which is incredible. And we've got clients that are happy and continue to refer us. And that just grows organically. Also from the architects that are having good experiences with us from their clients. And so now that's on a good trajectory. So make sure that keeps growing right. Keep doing touch points with our EOS implementer here and there because now it's kind of on steady state. And now we've got the tools and dashboards and scorecards that we can see that give me the indication that our business is in the right path.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. If you could keep one business, what would it be?
I mean, I couldn't give up the construction business. It's just working now,
Yeah.
If you'd asked me 3 years ago, I'm like, I don't know about the construction business, because it was kind of break even. Now that it's turning out profit, I'm like, this is pretty cool. So I'm not going to let that go, but I do like the real estate. I'd like to double down my efforts on that. As I'm growing my team, I'm adding agents, getting bigger sales. We just closed our biggest one on a residential sale at 3.35 million recently. I just closed another one yesterday at 2.9 million. So I like those bigger dollar amount sales. Those are nice. And so not that I'm not going to keep selling the $800,000 properties either, but I see the potential there, and it's an opportunity to serve more people and do a good job. And I find that I'm pretty good at it relative to the peers. There's no shortage of great realtors, but it's only the top 10%. So there's still the bottom 90% that aren't very good at their job.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, most
From one
realtors,
real estate guy to another real estate
most
guy.
realtors, 90% are, it's a low barrier of entry for a reason.
Well, just this morning, I had to accept an offer between a realtor that's a top realtor and a similar offer from a realtor that's inexperienced. Well, that was an easy decision.
Yeah.
I want to work with the one that's a better realtor because I know he has better client control, can set the expectations. We're not going to have all kinds of weird hiccups through escrow because he's been there, done that, knows the challenges of getting a deal to close.
Yeah. What do you think was the big change in your construction company to where it became from breaking even to now taking off?
Yeah, honestly, it was EOS. Our key executives at our construction company were willing to bring in an outside person, take their advice and guidance as we solve their own problems, right? The EOS implementer isn't solving our problems. He's just asking the right questions so we can determine it. And I think that also it got us looking forward as opposed to solving the problem of the day. Right? When you run a business, you're like, get sales, take care of the client, pay the bills, as opposed to with EOS, you're like, what can we do 3 months, 6 months, 12 months down the road to make sure that we're on the growth trajectory that we've planned for? And what are the key things that we need to do that aren't solving the problem for today, but it could open the path for growth in 3 to 6 months? And I think that was the key thing that we learned how to do is take a step back and work on the business instead of in the business is kind of the cliche they always say, but it's relevant. It makes you think about what do we need to do to go from doing $20,000 bathroom remodels like we did in 2018 to now our minimums are $200,000 for a project, right? And so it's just kind of scaling, putting the systems in place, putting the measurables in place that we can see every week for are we hitting all the right boxes to get to that level? And then also backtracking, what does it take? And then now we know, okay, it takes this many site visits and this many discovery calls and this many leads coming in to generate the business that we're getting now.
Got to know your numbers.
Correct.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, most people I've found most business owners kind of fly by the seat of their pants.
Yeah.
And they kind of rely on their abilities to kind of get out of that problem.
Well, yeah. Ultimately, the founder or the initial entrepreneur just kind of muscles his way through it, right?
Yeah.
By sheer force of will, I'm going to put in the 80 hours and make it work.
Yeah.
As opposed to being smarter about it and seeing how I can leverage this, delegate it, elevate the people that are around me to do the things that I'm doing, and take off some of that burden.
Stubborn is not a superpower. What do you think your superpower is?
I heard it said the other day, like it's easy to be a force for yourself or for your company, but it's the challenge part is to be a force multiplier. And so that's what I'm trying to be better at, is be a force multiplier. Get the people that are around me to be more productive themselves, right? Instead of just me saying, I need to be more productive and do all the work, how can I pass this on to the people around me and make them more productive?
I feel like our interview last month, we were talking about this, and I said, my job is to be the weakest link in the chain.
Yeah.
It really is, right?
I mean, when you're a business owner, and we hear this because, ultimately, do we want to exit one day? Potentially, or at least have a company that's exitable, right?
Yeah.
If I have a company that's worth selling, it's worth keeping. And the question is, can you keep the founder out of it at that point, right? Because no one wants to buy a company where the founder does all the work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Worth nothing.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So if I can build a business that doesn't rely on me on a day-to-day, well, now that's something that someone could potentially buy as an asset that could be worthwhile, or I keep it because it's worth keeping.
I remember we had at the EO house, we had a gentleman. I want to say Making Giants was the guy. He did he helped people get ready for sale.
Yep.
And it was profound to me. He can't, he's talking about, he actually pulled my industry out and said, listen, we'll go in if we're looking to buy your firm, and we'll talk to your top 10 clients, and we'll talk to each of them. And if you say, hey, if you have a problem, who do you call? If it's your name, you lose money on your purchase.
Valuation.
Yeah, your multiple. If it's another person's name, you don't get as much taken off. If
Correct.
it's an apartment, you win.
Yeah.
You get the best multiplier. And I literally took that information, walked away with it, and changed the way that we did things at our shop.
It's huge, right?
Yeah,
it's so
it's
valuable
huge.
because now that's helpful for your business, and I see that in mine too. I don't ever get clients or calls from my construction clients.
You have to be able to push your ego aside.
Right. Well, and then also trust that you've trained your team and they know the expectations and how to treat your clients the way you would, so that they can take that call for you.
Exactly. Yeah, you're paying forward in a way.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the number one salesperson and
your customer service.
in your company, it's not worth anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And the visionary.
And the visionary, yeah. It's hard to be a visionary when you're in the business too. So.
Yeah.
Right. So I like the concept of being the force multiplier,
I like that. Yeah.
and just get everyone that's around us to be really good at their job. Right. Otherwise, we got the wrong people. And so I'm trying to be quick to fire people when it's not the right fit. I'm like, since it's going to work out,
Well,
if I'm having to do the lifting for you, then you're not helping me.
could not imagine being fired by Henish.
Yeah, believe I do it. That's what I say. It's not a fit.
Yeah.
It's not a fit. We're really trying to be really nice. I'm sure you could find a good job somewhere else, but it's not here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to change the people and change the people.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, that's good.
So how long have you been an EO for?
About 2.5 years now. I'm getting on 3 years now, and it's been awesome.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'd say you're probably more involved than anyone in EO, right?
No, I mean, the people that are on the board that do a lot of the roles. I've been on the board, but kind of as a co-chair role or assistant. So, this year with learning, Jeff Brown did a lot of the work, but I would say that the presidents do a huge amount of work. That's basically a full-time job for them to manage this. As a participant, I love participating in the events as much as possible. One, for the content, two, for the camaraderie. I liked hanging out with other EO members, which is the best benefit of being an EO. Yeah. The events are great, but I think the members are even better. Right. Yeah. And that's why the events that are led by members, the EO talks or the other fireside chats, in my opinion, are the best events we have. It's not the paid speakers. It's not the, the big hitters that we bring in from wherever. I like to hear the real stories of people that I can share a drink with afterwards because it seems more relatable.
Authentic.
Yeah.
Authentic.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's why I spend the time with it, because it's been so worthwhile and it's been valuable. It's been really motivational too. To see the people, and most recently with the EO talks, you see the challenges that people have had, and you're like, look at your own life. You're like, I don't have those kind of excuses, and even if I did, look, they did, and they overcame it.
I think that's one of the biggest problems with social media. Not to go down that path real quick, but I mean, I think everybody always sees the success stories, and they never see the actual lift
Correct.
to get to that spot.
Correct.
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, you only see people's highlight reel, right?
Yeah.
And now people are trying to be, a little bit more vulnerable, but it's easier in a group where that's one of our stated purposes is to be more vulnerable, to share that 5% truth, whether it's the bottom or the top, and have someone that can support you and has had similar experiences along the way that understands you versus your friends that have a W-2 job.
Misery loves company.
Yeah. But it's also like, who can you share when you have those big wins?
Right.
Like I'm not announcing to everyone that we had our biggest sales recently. It's just my EO friends.
You just did.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's see who it's season, but it's probably other EO members. So, true. Maybe I'll put it in the newsletter.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Have you gotten more out of events or the forum experience?
Good point. It's different. There are different levels of it, right? It's nice to be able to share my P&Ls and balance sheets with my forum and have them dissect it and take a look and see what's working, what's not working, versus kind of the macro when you have the events. You get a holistic view of different organizations and how does that relate, or are there ideas I can take that can help my organizations? So there's not either or. It's just kind of like apples and oranges. I like them both. It's just different on what they do. And so the forum is hugely valuable to have that kind of continuity with the same group of guys, and they know the intimate details of your personal and professional lives versus the overall, which is nice for the bigger picture stuff.
That's great.
It's always good talking to them. When I was trying to find people to do this, I'm like, this would be rad having Henish in here. So I appreciate you coming in and sharing your story with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's motivational, obviously, and it's cool that we can celebrate some wins with you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's not always all wins. There's some challenges.
No, for sure.
Got through COVID, got through challenges there, but we're on the other side of it, and we have a bright trajectory here.
Absolutely, love it. Thanks a lot for coming in.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely,
appreciate it.